If I look familiar, it is because I finished A Curse for True Love an hour ago. And because I officially have attachment issues to the Once Upon a Broken Heart book series, I decided to do myself a little favor. I'm gonna be reading Caraval. And this is actually kind of a big deal because I was a reader when Caraval came out, and I actually went to my bookstore and I read the blurb. I tried to read the first few pages, and for some reason I didn't like it. I don't know what about it turned me off, but I just didn't feel like reading it. I think maybe it was like the carnival setting that I didn't like, and then I also heard it had a sad ending and it just put me off, so I didn't read it. But like I said, I just finished A Curse for True Love. You've seen that video at this point, and you probably know that I am fully enthralled with this world and with Stephanie Garber's writing, and I'm not ready to leave. I still want to cry thinking about the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I'm not ready to leave that world, but I also don't want to reread the series back to back because I'm scared that'll put me into a reading slump. So I'm picking up Caraval. I actually ordered the box set halfway through the Ballad of Never After because I was like, I'm gonna be devastated when this is over. There's absolutely no way I'll be ready to leave this world, and I'm so happy that I did. And now I'm giving a book series a shot that I was dead set on never reading because I thought I wouldn't like it. Now, because I read Once Upon a Broken Heart and I flick through, I kind of know a little bit of spoilers, and just like the Once Upon a Broken Heart, this will be fully spoilers. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts. Like, if you haven't read it and you don't want to know what happens, don't watch this video, skip it, because like, no spoiler warnings, this is fully spoiler. But basically, obviously I read Once Upon a Broken Heart first. I flipped through and I saw Princess Donatella has a POV in this book, so she's a main character. And then obviously I know Jax kissed her, she stabbed him, and she chose someone else. So I kind of know how her love story ends, and I assume this series is at least partially, if not fully, about that. And quite frankly, I am okay knowing that because before reading this, I heard that the love interest dies at the end of this book. And then when I was thinking about reading it, I googled it and I was like, does it have a happy ending? And it was like, yeah, it does have a happy ending. So I assume the love interest that they were talking about is Jax. And I do know he's in this book because I saw when I bought the box set that it says at the bottom, for more of Jax, read Once Upon a Broken Heart. So I'm pretty sure I kind of know that plot line, and I'm perfectly okay knowing that. In fact, I'm happy that I know that because it would have just stressed me out massively if I read them backwards. And also, I think I'm going to enjoy this. I definitely do think this is going to be highly rated and I'm going to enjoy it. However, my anticipation is that I won't love this nearly as much as I love the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. And the reason for that is I kind of knew Once Upon a Broken Heart would be a favorite before even starting book one because everyone loves it. It is so highly rated, and just the descriptions of how magical it is and everything, I just knew that series was right up my alley. Whereas with this one, it's not really right up my alley. Carnivals are not my thing. I definitely think I'm going to enjoy it. However, my hopes are not high for it being a favorite like Once Upon a Broken Heart, but I will be very happy if it is. I haven't started Caraval yet. I'm definitely going to start it at some time today, but I'm very excited for this journey, and I'm just so happy that I get to stay in this world a little bit longer, even though I'm very certain that this takes place in the South and not the magnificent North, but that's okay. And then maybe when I finish reading that, I'll pick up Once Upon a Broken Heart and read them in order. We'll see, but I'm excited, so wish me luck.
So I haven't been updating much with Caraval because I just felt like there wasn't much for me to say, at least up until this point. But basically, I'm on page 217, which is chapter 21. Long story short, Donatella had a guy named Julian help her kidnap Scarlet to go to Caraval. She's been playing for 2 days and now she died for a day. She was supposed to die for 2 days, but Julian, who she's kind of having like an enemies to lover type of vibe with, gave her a day of his life, so they're both dead for 1 day. And basically at the end of the dreams, she sees Legend and he looks exactly like Julian. And the reason I wanted to check in is because I literally thought that Julian might be legend maybe 50-ish pages ago or so, around page 150. So I am intrigued to see if Julian is actually legend, because at this point it's still not confirmed. It's just, he looks like him type of thing. So I'm excited to see. But yes, and mini update just in general, so far I am enjoying it. I'm not as in love with it as I am Once Upon a Broken Heart, but this is still a very good series and I'm completely sucked into it and enjoying it very much. So although I don't think this will be like completely a favorite, I'm infatuated with it like I am with Once Upon a Broken Heart, I'm very happy that I ended up picking this to read, and I'm intrigued to see where this trilogy goes. So I just finished chapter 24. I'm on page 250, and Julian has confirmed that he is not legend, and he was working with Dante, who is kind of an evil person up until a few pages ago, because legend is supposedly the reason that Dante's fiance and Julian's sister died. So far, I still think either Dante or Julian is legend. I'm thinking that maybe Dante ends up being legend instead of Julian now. And the reason why is I know book 2 or 3 is about legend, because I saw a TikTok talking of Stephanie Garber talking about how in book 2 or 3, I don't remember which one, she was writing about legend. So I know that's coming. And then very annoyingly, I was watching a YouTube video yesterday and the YouTuber decided to not give spoiler warnings and talk about book 2 and how it's the love story between Donatella and Dante, which, by the way, very annoying, but whatever. So that was kind of a spoiler. I didn't know who book 2's love interest would be. I just knew it would be about Donatella. I'm pretty sure book 3 is also about Donatella. But yes, very annoying. But anyway, I do think Dante might be legend instead of Julian. And then I assume Julian's maybe like an actor or something. I don't know, but that's kind of where I'm at. I definitely do think they're still connected in some type of way. So, also her dad is at Caraval now, which is terrifying because he's not a good man. I just finished chapter 30. Scarlett's dad and the Count found her and Julian and then took her back, and he was going to consummate the marriage without being married to her, shall we say. And then she got a poker and threw the protection spell that she bought on him, and he told her that she's playing exactly into Legend's hands and this is what he wants because he wants to destroy their marriage and ruin their life. She said Legend is doing her a favor, and then he said Legend doesn't do anyone favors. So, pretty interesting so far. I'm on page 294, and I'm excited to see how this ends and where this goes. So, I just finished chapter 33. I'm on page 316. We met Legend. He's not Dante, nor is he Julian, but they were both working for him. But Julian did betray him because he actually fell in love with Scarlett and he killed him. Like, Julian's dead, and I don't know if he's gonna come back to life, but I hope he does. He doesn't actually die, right? Like, he comes back to life, or it's like a game. It's a game. None of it's real, right? Please give me answers. I just started chapter 41, which is on page 379. So basically what happened, Donatella was found, then her father and the Count came in, she jumped off, she died. Scarlett wished her back to life, and then we found out that the Legend we met isn't the real Legend, it's an actor pretending to be him. Tella explained that this whole thing was her plan and she was actually the one who was in cahoots with Legend to get them to Caraval and to get their father to leave them alone, which has worked because their father is going to leave them alone after Donatella offed herself. Julian is not really dead, thank goodness. Don't know where he is yet, but he's not dead. Donatella came back to life, and we're on the way to a happy ending. So this book was a lot. I shouldn't be shocked considering I did read the entire Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, but for some reason in my brain I was just like, magical carnival, that's it. it. So this was very stressful but fun, and I'm excited to see how the other two carry on. I don't know if I'm going to update before finishing this. My lost little guess is I still think Dante is going to be the real legend. That is my guess.
Hi, so I have officially finished Caraval, and what a wild ride it has been. So overall, it was really fun, but I don't know why I went into this series thinking it would just be about a magical carnival and nothing else. Especially after having read the entire Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, I still was like, oh, they win the carnival and then they just wish to be the empresses of the Meridian Empire. Which, not really, no, that's not at all what happens. At least so far. I've only read 1 out of the 3 books, so maybe that is what happens. But it was fun. I liked it. I really enjoyed Scarlet as the main character, and reading about her love for her sister is very sweet and heartwarming. And in general, I just think Scarlet and Donatella's relationship is very beautiful. It really was crazy just watching them go to these extreme lengths for each. Oh my god, every time I talk a dog starts barking, but then he's quiet when I don't talk. Watching Scarlet and Donatella go to these extreme lengths for each other really just was something to behold, and I enjoyed each of them independently and together as well. The ending was not at all what I thought it would be. The fact that Donatella had planned everything and kind of tricked Scarlet in order to get their father to go away was crazy. And then I also really enjoyed Julian and that whole love story between him and Scarlet. I kind of like that it was a brief-ish enemies to lovers or dislike to lovers, and I like the mystery involving him as well, wondering if he is legend, what his ploy is, why does he keep hiding things, and then finding out he just actually physically can't tell her because legend like magically bound him along with all the other Caraval players, and then also finding out that Dante was a performer. And then in general, I just really enjoyed his personality as well, and I do hope that we get to see more of them in the next 2 books, even though I do know that the focus switches to Donatella more so than Scarlet. But I do hope we see more of them and we do get to see their relationship evolve and everything as well during the next 2 books, because I did enjoy them. And even though I'm excited to learn more about Donatella, I am sad to see less of Scarlet because I did really enjoy her as a character. But those are my only thoughts. I am excited to start Legendary tomorrow, so yeah, I'm excited.
I spy with my little eye a Prince of Hearts. He's finally showing up. This is so exciting. I missed him. I missed him a lot. It's gonna be a shame he's not with Evangeline, but I'll take Jax just as he is if I have to. So let's go, I guess. Also, so far, one did not realize that it was only Donatella's point of view. I thought it would be switching between Scarlet and Donatella's. But I am happy that in this book, we're playing Caraval again, and it seems like Finale is the only one where they're not playing Caraval, so it's exciting. But yes, I know for a fact that this white apple eater is Jax. So, how exciting.
So, at this point, I actually have already started Legendary. So, as of right now, I'm on page 136, which is chapter 14. And so far, we have met Jax. And the chapter I just finished in chapter 13, she actually already kissed Jax and she hasn't died yet. He hasn't realized that his heart started beating yet, so that's still coming. I think I saw a bit of it at the start of chapter 15 when I was flipping through, but they have kissed already, which I found interesting. I really thought that would happen in Finale, let alone in Legendary, but so early on in Legendary. So I'm very intrigued to see how their plot folds. It is the first night of Caraval and she's going to play, and she was originally going to play to find out Legend's real name, but now Jax has 2 new goals for her instead, because she was supposed to give him the name at that point, and then she's asking for an extension. So he told her, because he's pretending to be the heir to the Empire, and then her name wasn't on the list to stay at the palace, so Dante told everyone that she was the heir's fiance. So it's like a whole thing. So he's like, oh, the first thing is you have to pretend that you're actually my fiance, so that we can just, at the end of Caraval, pretend it was a thing for Caraval, and then my reputation won't get spoiled. And then he kissed her, and he was like, oh, you shouldn't have, or you should have given me Legend's name, or whatever. So he was trying to kill her, but obviously she's not going to die. We know that because we read Once Upon a Broken Time first. And so far, that's really all that's happened. I do still think she's going to play Caraval for one reason or another, and I also just flicked through and saw that Caraval still happens, which I'm excited for. So we'll see. Still don't know who Legend is. I'm still placing my bets on it being Dante. I don't think Julian lied about being Legend's brother, so I think him and Dante are brothers, and then Dante is Legend, so that's where my guesses are, but who knows. And then in general, so far into this book, which is this far, in case I haven't shown you, but so far into this book, I am happy that I read Once Upon a Time first. I know there's spoilers for this series in that book, but I prefer it because, one, I think the plotline of this trilogy would just be very stressful to me, which obviously that's good because it's well written, but I didn't want to go through that whole stress. And then second of all, to me it kind of feels like reading a prequel, which is fun. So like, I read about Jax and everything, but then we got little snippets of his life before, and now I'm reading this where I find out what actually happened in those snippets that we saw in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. So I really enjoy it because it's like reading a prequel and you kind of get to fit the puzzle pieces together, which usually I try and read prequels before, but sometimes, I don't know, it's just fun knowing the end goal, but then seeing how the end goal happens later on. Almost kind of like A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes with the Hunger Games trilogy. Like, you see the entire trilogy and then you see how President Snow got to that point. Like, this is kind of how I'm viewing this, so I'm reading it more so as a prequel after the fact, which I think is very fun. But yeah, overall, I am enjoying Legendary so far. Even though I'm only really 25-ish% into Legendary, I don't think this trilogy is going to match Once Upon a Broken Heart, but that being said, I'm still really, really enjoying it. It's very fun. It's very good. By no means would I say this is better than Once Upon a Broken Heart or vice versa. They're both very, very good. My personal taste just perfectly aligns with Once Upon a Broken Heart, whereas with this one, not as much. But again, overall, I'm really loving the trilogy. I'm really happy that I read it. I'm really happy about the order that I read it. Obviously, this series should be read before Once Upon a Broken Heart, but doing it my way I don't think ruins this series at all. You just know some things, which doesn't spoil it, because even though I know certain things, I still have no idea how they happen, why they happen, what order they happen in. So it's fun, I'm enjoying it, and in general, I'm just very excited to continue on these series. Finish it, reread The Love of My Life, which is Once Upon a Broken Heart, fully annotate it, and yeah, I'm just having a really, really great time. I'm really enjoying being in the fantasy mood. I really missed reading fantasies over the summer, but Throne of Glass really just spoiled that for me. But in general, having a great time, really just in a great mood. And I always say winter memories hit harder and winter reads hit harder, and with the two series I can like feel that, because even though, well, right now it's very cold, but again, my winter is not that cold really, but I can feel this being like a core winter memory for me, and that's very, very exciting. So I'm very happy, and this is a great time.
So I'm on page 141, and turns out the kiss that Jax gave Donatella won't kill her immediately. He's using that as his bargaining chip, so she needs to bring him Legend before Elentine's Day, or then the kiss would kill her. I'm just a little confused because that means he's gonna kiss her again, or is the poison from his kiss just going to sink in leisure, you know what I mean? So it's pretty interesting so far. I'm just a little confused. I'm just past halfway, and one thing I think is pretty interesting is in book 1, Scarlet kept having to convince herself that Caraval isn't real and it was only a game. And in this book, Tella has to keep reminding herself that Caraval isn't real. It's just a game, but they both have opposite reasons, because for Scarlet, she kept thinking it was real when it wasn't, whereas with this one, she's kind of like, wait, is everything real? Like, it's different from Lost Game and everything. So I think that's kind of interesting how it's the same but opposites at the same time. So yeah, I'm interested to see if this Caraval is going to end up being real or not. I assume it is, but who knows? So Tello is just attacked by the undead maiden or something. She's one of the fates, and she beat her, and then Dante came to heal her, and now Julian and Dante are talking, and Dante said, "I care about finding those cards. She's our best hope for it, brother." So I was right. Dante is legend. You cannot convince me otherwise. And her mother stole the cards that the Fates were trapped in but are now escaping from. So it's really interesting. I'm curious to see how this book ends and how book 3 carries on this plot, because I'm assuming this is a 2-book plot. So I'm on page 387, which is chapter 37, and a rumor has started that the Empress's lost heir has returned. And I remember in Once Upon a Broken Heart, Donatella and Scarlet were the ones that sent her to the Magnificent North, and they were the Empresses. So I wonder if Donatella is actually the Empress's daughter, because her mother sacrificed her, the second daughter, to the Stars Temple in order to keep the decks in some type of vault, and she said her second child. So, but I'm wondering if that was the loophole, because Donatella isn't actually her child. She wasn't pregnant with her. Scarlet's her only biological child. Tella is her daughter, and that's the loophole. I think I might be onto something, and I'm very close to the end too, so I'm excited to find out if I'm right or not. I'm assuming we find out at least somewhat at the end of this book, but that is my guess. I will check in and let you know if I'm right or not. It's been confirmed that Dante is legend. I knew it. Was it kind of spoiled for me thanks to that YouTuber I mentioned earlier? Yes. Am I a little annoyed by it? Yes, but I like to believe that I would have figured it out myself regardless. So, I knew it, I was right, and I'm a genius. I think Dante just let out the Fates to save Donatella because she switched places with her mother. So this is insane. What the hell is happening? What the hell is happening? What the hell is happening?
So I finished Legendary, and the series is not going how I expected it would, and by that I mean I'm really liking it a lot more than I thought I would. So I don't remember what I said at the end of my Caraval clip, but I believe I said I rated it a 3.5 or 3.75. It's now a 4-star. I have not been able to stop thinking about these books like at all, and I think I gave it less because it wasn't as high as Once Upon a Broken Heart, so I just naturally lowered it. But I do think a 4-star is the absolute minimum that I will give any of these books in the series, because they are so good. But Legendary, at first I didn't enjoy this book as much as I did Caraval, because I did prefer Scarlet's point of view just a little bit more, and I missed her point of view in this book. That being said though, I really did also enjoy Donatella's point of view. I just missed Scarlet and Julian. I also think the one issue is that as of late I've just been reading way too much, and I've fatigued myself quite a lot, so that's no fault of this book, but I just need a reading break. After I finish this trilogy, I just need to go a few days without reading anything and really just reset myself a little bit. And then overall, another issue that I had, and I think I mentioned this before, it's the fact that the whole Who Legend Is spoiler kind of just was ruined, which is very annoying. So that did also just ruin the book experience for me a little bit. But that being said, as you can tell, everything that made this experience not as fun was not the book's fault at all, and I'm not punishing the book for that at all. And honestly, I would not be surprised that if in either a few months or with a reread, these books would be even higher rated, possibly up to a 5-star. So overall, I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed the series. The things that made this book not as enjoyable for me were not the book's fault at all, and I'm not going to hold the things that I didn't like against the book because it was not the book's fault. Overall, really liked it. 4 stars, was very enjoyable, and I'm really happy that this book ended up having another Caraval, because I did think it would be a little lame if there was only one Caraval but the whole series is named after the game. But overall, really enjoyed it. Was really fun. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I'm very, very excited to get into finale and see how everything kind of just finalizes itself, I guess you could say. So I'm excited, and let's just jump straight into me reading finale and get to that because I'm loving it. I just finished chapter 15. Their mom is dead, which I'm not surprised about at all, but the reason I was checking in was because they're at the part where Evangeline turns to stone because she made the deal with Jax, and I'm very excited. I was hoping that this would happen and that they would put it in the book. I didn't see why they wouldn't, but I just wasn't sure if it would be a thing at all in this book or just briefly mentioned, and so far it's only briefly mentioned, but it is fun that it's being mentioned because now I know where Once Upon a Broken Heart starts. So, yeah. So, Tella is talking to Mistress Luck, who is a fate, and she just explained that when a fate falls in love, their mortality returns, and if they're in love for too long, their mortality becomes permanent. So this was good information because having read Once Upon a Broken Heart first, I wasn't sure how that would work out between Jax and Evangeline. Like, would he stay immortal and she would just die one day, or how would that work? But now I know how that works. I am not in the slightest surprised that Nicholas is actually evil. Tello is right in that he is now kidnapping Scarlet to send back to her father, because I don't even know why her dad wants them back so badly, because he just beat them, so I don't really understand the point. But yeah, she was kidnapped, and now we're switching over to Donatella's point of view, so this isn't going to be resolved for a while, and I'm anxious. So Legend might be dead, Scarlet is kidnapped, and the Fates are running amok the entire place, and I'm not even halfway yet, so this is going great. So we just finished Scarlet's point of view in chapter 26, and the Count was burnt alive by the Fallen Star. The Fallen Star has kidnapped Scarlet, who is apparently her father, and she's his only child, so she's half human and she can become a fate. And her magical powers is that she can see emotions in colors, and he wants to train her to be able to manipulate people's emotions so that she can take over the empire with him and become a fate. So wasn't expecting that at all whatsoever, so that was a shock to say the least, but it's very interesting. This is not where I thought this series would go at all. So I'm done with finale. I am done with the Caraval trilogy, and I'm still not ready to leave Stephanie Garber's writing. It's crazy. I'm not kidding you. I'm actually about to pick up Once Upon a Broken Heart again, reread the whole trilogy, and this time I'm annotating it. I bought special tabs. I bought special sparkly pens. I am ready. I'm obsessed. And I really hope that once I'm done with that trilogy, I'm okay to leave her writing, because I cannot just keep rereading these two trilogies and never pick up another book again, because that I don't think would be very healthy. But yes, I ended up giving Finale 4.5 stars. It was really, really good. I'm in love with Stephanie Garber's work. She is so talented, so great. I do have to say, final book-wise, Finale was a lot better than A Curse for True Love, which neither book was bad when I say that. Let me just say that. Both books were phenomenal, but after having read the whole Caraval trilogy, I do see how A Curse for True Love felt a bit more rushed, but it's fine. I still love both series very, very much. I absolutely loved the ending. I love that it was dual point of view between Donatella and Scarlet. I was so happy to be back in Scarlet's point of view. And in general, I just really love that book 1 was Scarlet, book 2 was Donatella, and then book 3 was both. I thought that was a really nice way of going about the series and giving both sisters equal screen time, page time, whatever you want to call it, and I just really loved how that was done. Julian and Scarlet are the sweetest couple. I absolutely loved reading about them. They make me so happy. I love that Scarlet, I keep forgetting that this is like a spoiler thing, so I wanted to like do this review spoiler free, but there's spoilers everywhere, so it's fine. I loved how he proposed to her by giving her the gloves from her dress that sacrificed itself to protect her and Julian, or something along those lines, don't fully remember. But yeah, like the dress sacrificed itself and then he sewed gloves out of the remnants of it, and it's so sweet. And then he proposed, and for them apparently they don't give rings, they give gloves, which I think is still very cute and sweet, and like the meaning behind it of like, oh, like I'm giving you gloves because gloves protect your hands and I'm gonna protect you. I love all of that. Very sweet, very cute, very obsessed. Dante and Donatella finally got together. He gave up his immortality to become human and be with her, which my heart doubled in size when I read that. That was so sweet. I was so happy that he picked her, and I thought it was really, 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 really sweet that him giving that up for her was what broke her out of her spell with Jax. And it was just overall very, very heartwarming, and not gonna lie, I did feel very, very bad for Jax when that happened, but also having read Once Upon a Broken Heart, I was like, you get your time. I'm gonna be happy for Donatella. So I'm so happy they got together and that they're happy. And the ending where she wrote him a little note where she was like, oh yeah, can you kidnap me and take me on an adventure, because now that I'm a princess I can't do these outlandish things anymore. It was just like, it was very sweet and I really enjoyed it, and it made me very, very happy. And I really like that both sisters finally get the happy ending that they deserved, because let's be real, their mom abandoning them and then their dad being just awful, and then finding out that their mom's not dead, and then Donatella having watched her die, and then Scarlet going back into everything. It's just, they really, really, truly do deserve a happy ending, and it's just, I love them and I want them to be happy, and I'm very, very sad to have lost them, and I think I might change all of the ratings to 5 stars after having filmed this video, because I love them so much. I really, really do. These are definitely favorites. Like all of Stephanie Garber's work right now, like her and Margaret Rogerson tied for my favorite authors, which is crazy because no one has topped Margaret Rogerson. Not even Sarah J. Maas, because out of all of her work, there's only 3 books that I so far like love. So That being said, though, out of everything, I think the thing that made not only this book, but this whole series for me was Scarlett and Donatella's relationship. It was so wonderful to watch. It was amazing seeing them sacrifice for each other, but in their own ways, because reading book one, I was like, wow, Donatella's kind of a little selfish, doesn't really think about Scarlett at all. But then you like get to the end of Caraval and you read Legendary and you're like, oh my goodness, no, like Donatella has done and given so much to try and get Scarlett out of a bad situation, and just watching them continually in their own unique ways do whatever they can to make sure that not only they but their sister are okay is just, it's such a beautiful story of sisterly love, and it makes me want a sister so badly. For those of you that don't know, I don't think I've ever mentioned it, but I am an only child, have never had a sibling, will never have a sibling. Unless you count in-laws, then very possibly I might have a sibling one day, but I've been siblingless my entire life. I'm an only child. I don't know what it's like to have a sibling. And reading books like these just make me like yearn for one so badly, because this type of love is just, it's so sweet, it's so unique, and it's something that I know I probably will never experience in my life. And obviously there's a lot of types of love that I have experienced, am experiencing, will experience in the future, but like that, this type of sisterly love, I doubt I will ever have. And it makes me sad because it seems at least so beautiful, but then I'm also happy that books like these exist so that I can experience them in some type of way. It makes me very emotional thinking about it, and I loved watching them grow. And also, just side note, watching Scarlett go back in time and getting the closure that she needed with her mom was so sweet. I was like crying so much reading that scene. So yeah, like the romance in Caraval is good. It's good. It's very good. It's wonderful. And it gives you what you need. But Caraval through and through is a familial love trilogy, and it is wonderful. And I think everybody would enjoy it regardless if you have siblings or not. If you do, if your relationship with them is good or not, because it's just so heartwarming. So I really, really, really love the series. Genuinely, I really love the series. I'm so happy that I picked it up, not only because I wasn't ready to leave Stephanie Garber's writing and the magical world that she has written these two trilogies in, but this was just a very wonderful surprise. I was never interested in this, and then this ended up being a favorite trilogy, and I'm so happy that I not only gave it a shot, but I went in with an open mind, put all my past feelings aside, and I truly, 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 truly loved the series just as much as Once Upon a Broken Heart, but just in very different ways. Because Once Upon a Broken Heart, I love Evangeline, I love Jax, I love their relationship, I love the magic, I love everything. It's so different but so the same. So I'm gonna stop ranting about it, but absolutely love it, absolutely would recommend it. Even if you haven't read it and you watch this video and you know everything that happens, read it anyway. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful trilogy. And then read Once Upon a Broken Heart, or read them backwards. I don't care. Just read her work. If you've already read her work, go reread it. Go sit in your corner and reread it, because Stephanie Garber is an amazing author. Her work is amazing. I'm obsessed. If you've read this series, let me know if you agree with my thoughts on it, or if you have any other points that I didn't touch on. If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, a comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.